So I'm just now not feeling well, so I'm going to make what they're saying, what they're talking about video short. They were upset that I started putting up posts about people who are dealing with schizophrenia, and they said they feared that was the emotion they were feeling. They feared that then I would claim that I have schizophrenia because now they admit the voices aren't in my head. That was from my battery going low. The voices aren't in my head. So all this time I've been saying the voices aren't in my head, the voices aren't in my head, the voices aren't in my head, and now they admit it. So their biggest fear now is that if I claim I have schizophrenia, then I would get unemployment, not unemployment, a disability. Um, so they said they didn't want me to actually have any real illness. Well, wasn't there saying at one point, and I have proof of that, that they wanted me to have a real illness because they didn't want me to work because they knew how sick I was. So with them going back and forth and arguing with me, with each other, whatever, it's confusing. So when they said that they just mentioned now they kind of planned out what they wanted me to say, and that would be their way of proving that they influenced my behavior. Wasn't this supposed to be mind control? Wasn't this supposed to be them saying that this was happening to me all my life? It couldn't have been. And when they're finally admitting that it wasn't, it goes to show what I've been living with since this started. Part of why when they're telling me all of this all day 24/7 and then trying to get my memory, they are trying to get the memory they want me to have, not my actual memory. I was supposed to remember all these weird things. They said they were putting it in dreams at night, and I was supposed to remember this and remember that. And when I not only don't remember it, but I can show that those things didn't happen, now they'll change it to something else. So they were really angry, and I every time they get angry about something, I always try to look for why are they getting angry. So when they was talking about why they were getting angry about the schizophrenia, they said, well, now people with schizophrenia will think that they actually were part of this program. Well, that makes more sense. The fear that I would say I'm schizophrenic would be what they wanted, which is that to make me look like I'm mentally ill and to discredit me. But the real fear has nothing to do with me. It has to do with people who are dealing with schizophrenia, starting to maybe think that maybe this happened to them. I don't know. Part of what I'm saying is that there's a difference between people like me who have audio proving that there's BTK. They just got upset. They said, oh, you see. See what? See what? So also I want they said I would talk about some of the movies. When I feel up to it, I've been putting up posts of really great New York shows, New York movies. And why I call them New York shows, New York movies is not only are they set in New York, but they have the New York accent and from around the time I was born or growing up, so the 70s. I also found a really good show. They said something else called, and for my generation, we remember Kids Are People, or Kids Are People too, something like that. I can't remember now with them talking about it. But meaning what we grew up watching and how we grew up in a generation where the older people really looked at us as people. So they said, well, at the time when they were talking amongst themselves, they said, didn't we say that we were, as kids, we weren't supposed to talk, or we weren't supposed to talk all the time, but we were given our time to talk. And that was the difference between what I feel that they're trying to do now and what we experienced when we were growing up. We were allowed as children to criticize things. They would call it gossip. Gossip is not when you're talking about yourself. I mean, if you're talking about yourself and say it's gossip, then everybody gossips. When you talk about your own life experience, it's not gossip. So they said something about in the entertainment business, there are people who are paid to get us to gossip, which I do believe. I think I showed you guys at least a picture or a post with the little teen magazines I grew up with. We didn't have really kid magazines. We had teen magazines. It was like for celebrity kids. And it was for us in our teens, because little kids, they don't really read